that you have more month than money? Do you know if you don't tell your money where to go, it will leave without your permission? Rachel Kennedy here, and I'm excited to invite you to join me Fridays at 10 a.m. for Real Money Matters. I want to help you give direction to your money by developing a budget. Yes, the B word, a budget that works for you. Let's talk real money matters. With unemployment high, good jobs hard to find, the bills keep coming, what do? How do you manage? How do you manage what you currently have? And how do you find a way to save and bring increase into your life? Tune in live every Friday at 10 a.m. Log on to ItsWebTV and see me there. I look forward to seeing you there. Check me out on ItsWebTV.com.
Hello, I'm Patrick Lindsay, pastor of the Greater Bible Way Missionary Baptist Church in Detroit, Michigan. Thank you for tuning in to ItsWebTV.com. I pray that the Word of God that you hear each Sunday is relevant to your lives and that it enriches you in a way that you can walk more closely in His steps and in His will. We pray that you, if you have the opportunity, will stop by and worship with us at 1525 Townsend Street in Detroit, Michigan. Again, thank you for tuning in to our worship service on ItsWebTV.com.
And welcome to another episode of Real Money Matters. Rachel Kennedy here, and I'm excited to you join me today. I personally want to thank you for logging in and watching. I want to personally take this time and thank my mother who watches faithfully. Thanks, Mom. I appreciate you watching the show each week. She even says she benefits from some of the tips and things that I say. And so that's encouraging that your own mother watches. And so thank you for your support, Mom, for watching me today. Thank you all for joining in. And I enjoy each week coming to you. I'm telling you, I'm having a good time coming to you each week and sharing with you some tips and benefits that will help you manage your money better. And here at Real Money Matters, as always, I want you to know that your money matters. It matters what you make. It matters what you spend. It matters what you save. It matters how you manage the money you've worked hard for and that's been entrusted to you. And so we're glad you joined us today. We're going to ask you to call a friend, call a neighbor. Let them know Real Money Matters is airing now live. And also we want you to take this time as we prepare for the show. Grab your favorite cup of dry Java, your favorite drink, whatever it may be, coffee, tea, milk, juice or water, whatever your preference is. Grab a pen, pencil, and paper so you can jot down notes. You can jot down questions, or you can jot down thoughts or hints or tips that are going to help you and benefit you as we go through today's show. And like I said, I'm glad you joined in today. So be prepared. You can contact me via email at realmoneymatters at rachelrkennedy.com. Real Money Matters at rachelrkennedy.com. Send me your questions. Send me your comments. I'd love to hear from you. Today, as we move forward, hopefully you saw the show last week. If you joined last week, you'll realize that we celebrated and commemorated a very special historical event in the city of Detroit, and that was the 50-year march celebration of a powerful man, Dr. Martin Luther King, with his famous Detroit Walk to Freedom and his I Have a Dream speech, that famous speech that he made in Detroit before he went to Washington. We were there last week, and it was so much fun. It was so many people of all races. We were there together in unity to commemorate that 50-year anniversary, which was powerful. I was there along with my pastor, Bishop Wayne T. Jackson. He did the invocation down at Hart Plaza. We did a nice, probably 2 or 3 mile walk. It was fabulous. My church family, Great Faith Ministries, was there. The Impact Network family was there. And it was a lot of people there. And we just had a good time commemorating. And we need more of that. We need more of that unity together. And the city of Detroit, there's a lot of good things going on. And so we are just glad. I was glad that I was able to participate in that historic event. We also would like to bring your attention to another wonderful event that's coming up, and you know what we are in, bells and whistles. We're in the Christmas countdown. Yay, Christmas countdown. Are you excited? I'm excited because you all are going to be prepared. Each week we talk to you about this coming event that's coming up in December, and you say, well, it's still June. Well, Monday will be July, and we will be into 6 months into this year, halfway through the year. So we want you to continue to remember our Christmas countdown. Every week we're going to come to you, reminding you, encouraging you to save, and encouraging you to get your list in ahead of time. Wouldn't it be wonderful if you had saved and budgeted for your Christmas shopping by September, October? Oh my gosh, that would be so wonderful. So when the rush of Christmas, Black Friday, the day after Thanksgiving, you can just be watching TV, or you can go to the movies, and you don't have to worry about shopping in those stores during that season, because you prepared. Why? Because you watched Real Money Matters, and we gave you helpful tips on how to begin to save and put it in as part of your budget. If you have that Christmas fund that I had mentioned before at an institution that has a Christmas fund, well then guess what? That money is accumulating, and then the first week in November they will give all that money to you, and you will have your list and you will be prepared. So I just want to keep that in mind, that as we prepare for Christmas, I'm encouraging, we have 180 days. See, we're halfway through the year. 180 days. So please, how much have you saved? Have you made your list? Email me. Let me know that you've made some progress in your saving, whether you did the envelope system, whether you started a Christmas fund at a banking institution. Let me know. Email me and let me know that you have begin your savings, or at least begin your list, and been watching out, because in the summertime a lot of things go on sale. So just start talking to your friends, your neighbors, just kind of inconspicuously kind of find out what you think they might like or want, and you can be a blessing to them during that time. So keep that in mind. Like I said, love to hear from you. Feel free to email me at realmoneymatters@rachelrkennedy.com. Another thing we're coming up on, oh my gosh, next week is another holiday. It seems like every month there's something different going on. That's why I had mentioned before, with your budget, it's different every month. Every month. That's why every month you have to tell your money where to go. Because every month there are different events, different things that come up that are outside your normal bills, your normal things that you normally spend your money on. So that's why it's so important every month you spend every dollar on paper, that you tell it where to go. Next week is the holiday. It is the 4th of July, Independence Day. It's a federal holiday. A lot of people will have that day off. It was drafted back in 1776. Oh my gosh, over 237 years ago. We started celebrating our independence that we gained. So many of you have a day off. Some people still work because of the society we live in. That's a 24 hours a day nonstop. where we don't take a break. Back in the day, they used to take a break. There was a cutoff time where people can rest. But now we have 24 hours. So there are things that are doing stores and things. And those who have to work on that day, I applaud you and thank you. But those who have a break and you have some time off, I'm going to challenge you to do something on that holiday. I want you to take maybe a half hour in the morning before you get your day going, before you start shopping and fixing those ribs. Hopefully the weather will be good and you'll be able to enjoy the sun and all of that. But I'm going to encourage you. Maybe you haven't had time to create your budget. Maybe you haven't had time to identify your income. Maybe you haven't had time to identify your expenses. I'm going to challenge you on that holiday. If you have the day off, get up early that morning. Or maybe not too early. Sleep in a little bit. Get up and organize your finances. Commit to doing that. Get your finances in order. During the course of the day, a lot of times we don't have the time, but if you do have that day off, I'm going to encourage you to take half hour the most. We don't want you to spend all day on it, and we don't want you to get involved where it ruins your day and you don't enjoy your day, but we want you to start to get your stuff together. Identify your income, identify your expenses, begin to tell your money where to go. Spend it on paper. If any of you still would like a copy of that budget spreadsheet that I have, some may just want to write it down, but I do have a spreadsheet that's available to you. If you would like that as well, email me and let me know, and we can get that out to you as well. Real Money Matters at RachelRKennedy.com. So hopefully you'll enjoy your festivities. I know that's a time where they do fireworks, and you have a cookout. Spend time with your family, with your friends, and just enjoy and have a good time. But also remember your budget. Keep that in mind. Today's quote, we're going to move right along. I know we're going to talk about a real important subject today that it's going to be a little challenge to get through it. But I know that once we identify this, it's going to help you in the future. So we're bringing awareness and enlightenment to you concerning your finances. But before we go into that, I have a quote for today. And today's quote, and every week I try to bring you a quote that is meaningful and helpful to you, and hopefully this one will help you. Today's quote is by M.W. Harrison, and the quote is, "The waste of money cures itself, for soon there is no more to waste." Now, isn't that true? Oh my gosh. That goes along with some of the things we talked about last week as far as what destroys your budget. We talked about that. So the cure, wasting money, it'll cure itself because at some point you're not going to have it. So you won't be able to waste it. So keep that in mind as we go over and review some of the things we talked about last week. I'm not going to go in detail because you can always log back in. Thanks to Kevin Lewis. We appreciate his efforts here at ItsWebTV that brings us this program every week live. I encourage you, even if you have an idea and you want to be a part of it, contact him. Let him know that you're interested. Or if you have a business or something like that and you want to advertise, contact him. I tell you, he's doing a great thing here at ItsWebTV. So you're able to log in and view my previous show from last week where we talked about ways to destroy your budget. I'll mention a few of them, not in a lot of detail, but one of the ways we can destroy our budget that we talked about last week is by not doing it and not sticking to it. Once you put all the energy and effort into developing it, then maybe you should consider following it, because you did take the time and energy to do that. Another way that destroys your budget is impulse spending. We talked about that, just spending. And the different stores, they're very good at marketing like that. They'll have nice things at the end when you're checking out that just catch your attention, little things, and it's like, oh, I should get that. No, you should not. It's not part of your budget. So avoid impulse spending is another thing. I mentioned not shopping alone, not shopping with someone else. Oh my gosh, I know, especially if you have children, they will encourage you strongly to purchase things that they don't even really need. So Try not to shop with a friend. They may encourage you to spend a little more over your budget than you used to. So try to shop alone. Try to have yourself a list when you shop, especially grocery shopping. Don't shop when you're hungry. If you see something in the store, that you think you just can't live without, sleep on it, walk around the store, think about it, and think, do you really need that? Because what we're doing is we're helping you to continue to develop your budget. It is a process. It's going to take time. When you've been doing something for so long, it's going to take you time. So be encouraged. You may not have followed it to the T every time or ever since we've been doing this program, but keep on. Just get back up. If you fall off, just get back up and restart it. I know we've been in consecration and prayer at our church, and one thing our bishop has been saying, that God was hitting the reset button. And I tell you, that just blessed me so much about resetting. So if your budget is off whack, just hit the reset. On a computer, when you can hit a refresh button where you can just start over and refresh it, and things will just start happening that didn't happen before. So be encouraged to know that once you begin your budget, once you start it, you're going to slip, you're going to fall, you got to tweak it. You got to take your time and develop it and become a custom and a habit. The more you do it, the more you are conscious of it and aware of it, then the more it'll develop and become your own. Because remember, your budget is for you. It's not for me. Your budget is based on what you have and what you spend out. And if you want to balance that budget, which we talked about, we want to live on less than we want to spend less than we make. So make it a goal. I was reading something this week. It said, maybe try to live on 70% of your income. So what does that mean? So that's, say, if you make $1,000 a month, try to live on $700. That's $300 savings a month, and that would accumulate and add up. So just consider it, make it a goal. Try to start thinking about that, because right now some are living on 100% of their income, and some are maybe at 110, which is not good. And we talked about balancing our budget. Try to avoid temptations and things of that matter. These are some of the things we've talked about over the courses of the show. I want to recap some of those things as well. We've talked about stewardship, and we've talked about responsibility. We talked about accountability. We talked about setting your goals, writing it down, setting your goals. We've talked about your budget. Yes, the B word, the budget. We've talked about identifying your income, identifying your expenses, and having your expenses to be less than your income so that you can start to pay off debt, start to save for the future and big ticket items. We've talked about ways to reduce your spending. Think about your need versus your want. Do you need this, or is this just something that you want? We've also talked about ways to increase your income, and we haven't went into a lot of detail on that because I want you to learn to manage what you have before we start increasing. Because once we get that increase, you got to be able to tell that increase where to go. And so we want you to get a good handle on what you're managing now, what you have now, because we don't want to put a whole lot on you at once. This is a big undertaking, and I applaud you. If you're working with me each week and you're taking these tips and you're taking them to heart and you're getting an awareness and a consciousness about your money, then I applaud you, and I think that is a great thing, because it's a difficult thing to start. Once you've been going down a road a certain way for so long, it is a challenge to bring change. But know that this change and this correction is going to bring an alignment. It's almost like going to a chiropractor, and then they just kind of crack those bones, and where it been crooked, now it's getting straightened, and it might not feel good, while they're doing the alignment. But once that alignment is there, oh my gosh, you feel so much better. So just think of it like that. Think we're getting you into an alignment, and that it's going to help you to have your life to flow better. And so then you're going to be able to Find other ways to bring increase into your life, because there are so many ways out there that you can do that. But I really want you to get a handle on what you have now and manage that. And once you manage that, then you're able to bring the increase, and we can be able to tell it to go to savings, go to telling it to paying off debt. There's so many places and so many ways, and saving for the future, especially if you have children. Children, as they grow older, they need more. I know from experience, trust me. So we've talked about that. We've talked about savings, and hopefully even with your budget being what it is, and if you're over, you still should be able to save. A simple way and an easy way, and hopefully you've been accumulating your change. Oh my gosh, that is such an easy way to save, because when you go and you spend and you break bill dollars and things, you'll get loose change. Loose change is such an easy way to save without even thinking about it. Take that loose change, because a lot of times when you go to the store, you're not paying with coins and things. So they just sit there and they accumulate. So get them in a spot. Have a special place a jar or a box, or just a special designated place to put all of your loose change, because you will be so surprised at the end of a month how much change you have accumulated and saved, because it adds up. So we talked about saving, the envelope system. I kind of mentioned that to you as well. Just getting an envelope and just label it savings, label it emergency fund, label it a certain thing, and just put money in it. You will be surprised. A little bit adds up. You can just do $5, $10. Just get in the habit. It's not the amount, but it's the consistency. We want you to be consistent each and every week. Purpose in your heart. Every week I'm going to save something. If it's $1, some weeks you may can save more than others, and then that would offset the weeks that were low. So consider that. I want you to get in the habit of the consideration of your saving. We've talked about business. Oh my gosh, in entrepreneurship. I have to tell you this story. This week, my daughter, we were riding in the morning, and she came up with this plan. She had her business plan. My daughter is 12. She'll be 13 in less than a month. Well, actually a month today. Wow. And so she had her business plan. She was talking about her management team, her financing, and I was just blown away, like, wow, for real? You are really catching this, an entrepreneur spirit. She's really grasping the fact. She had written down the different industries she was interested in and the type of money she could earn. And I was like, wow, this is really working. She's my number one protege, so I know one day she's going to be very successful in business. But we've talked about business and developing, but the first step in business, you have to have an idea. You have to have a product. You have to have something that you're passionate about. Because if you're passionate about it, you'll do it, and you'll do it with your whole heart. And it'll be good because you spend so much time developing it. Would help if you like doing it. So if you're not one that like animals, you probably shouldn't, start be a veterinarian. That just would not work for you. You would not be a happy camper. We want you to be happy, and we want to enjoy what you do as you bring income and increase into your life. So we've talked about business, determining your business structure. So I'm just kind of going over some things that we've talked about in the past that has, that we've been developing over the weeks, trying to bring an awareness to you about your money. And I trust and hope and pray that these tips and these ideas have been helpful to you, because I have enjoyed and I enjoy bringing to you each week an awareness. If you have questions or comments concerning any of the topics we've talked about, then I want you to write me, email me at realmoneymatters@rachelrkennedy.com. So saying all that, we're going to take a break. We're going to be back in a few minutes, and we're going to discuss our topic for today. And our topic for today is a big topic, and that topic is debt. We're going to talk about debt. So tell a friend, tell a neighbor, refresh your drink, and let them know Real Money Matters is on the air, and we will be back momentarily. Thanks for watching. you to join me Fridays at 10 a.m. for Real Money Matters. I want to help you give direction to your money by developing a budget. Yes, the B word, a budget that works for you. Let's talk real money matters. With unemployment high, good jobs hard to find, the bills keep coming, what do? How do you manage? How do you manage what you currently have? And how do you find a way to save and bring increase into your life? Tune in live every Friday at 10 a.m. Log on to ItsWebTV and see me there. I look forward to seeing you there. Check me out on ItsWebTV.com.
Hello, I'm Patrick Lindsay, pastor of the Greater Bible Way Missionary Baptist Church in Detroit, Michigan. Thank you for tuning in to ItsWebTV.com. I pray that the Word of God that you hear each Sunday is relevant to your lives and that it enriches you in a way that you can walk more closely in His steps and in His will. We pray that you, if you have the opportunity, will stop by and worship with us at 1525 Townsend Street in Detroit, Michigan. Again, thank you for tuning in to our worship service on ItsWebTV.com.
They say that the economy is bad.
But God says you're the lender and not the borrower.
They say that our city is on its way out.
But God says you're blessed in the city and blessed in the field.
Violence is taking over the land.
But God says they'll come at you one way and flee before you 7 ways.
They say that same-sex marriage is inevitable.
But God says a man leaves his father and mother and cleaves unto his wife.
As you can see, for every one of man's dilemmas, the answer can be found in God's Word. Join us, Pastor Curtis and Tammy Stevens, at Increasing Faith Ministry at 7 p.m. for Bible study and every Saturday at 11 a.m. for Sabbath worship. Tap into the increase. Join us again at Increasing Faith Ministries. For more information, 313-526-2926.
In a dismal world, financial crisis, economical instabilities, foreclosures, hatred, and natural disasters, it is important not to get discouraged. A sense of balance must be obtained and maintained. Hope must be achieved.
Dr. Fuller Tway provides knowledge and strategies based on biblical principles of achieving sanctity through hope from a global perspective, for providing post-traumatic stress, trauma, and crisis counseling people following the earthquake in Haiti, counseling women involved in the human trafficking in Spain, leadership development in countries in Africa to offer support to those affected by the floodings of the East Coast. For strategies, knowledge, and wisdom, log on Sundays at 7 p.m. Eastern Standard Time to ItsWebTV.com for Offering Hope.
Get some more paper, because I know you've taken so many notes you just ran out of paper, right? Hopefully you called a friend, call a neighbor, let them know Real Money Matters is on the air. In this next segment, we did talk about, I said we're going to mention debt, but before I go into our main topic for the day, debt, I want to reiterate and go back to our fun fact that we did last week about the pennies. The pennies. Who remembers about the pennies? We gave you a challenge mentioning that if you take a penny and double it each day for 30 days, how much money would you have at the end of 30 days? Did you figure that out? Did you come up with a number? Well, I'm going to share that information with you today. So what is that? So maybe you didn't hear me last week. You didn't tune in. So I'm going to explain. What we're going to do is we're going to take a penny and we're going to double it each day. So day one, you have 1 penny and it's 1 cent. So the next day, you're going to double that. So day two, you're going to have take the 1 penny and double it, you would have what? 2 pennies. Day 3, we're going to take what we had from day 2, which was 2 pennies, and double that, and you will have 4 cents. If you double the 4 cents on the 4th day, you will have 8 cents. I'm going to take you all the way up to 10 days. So at 5 days, you have 8 cents. You're going to double it. Remember, every day you're doubling your pennies. You're going to have 16 cents. Sounds real easy and simple, right? And so on day 6, you have 32 pennies, which is 32 cents. Day 7, you'll have 64 pennies because you doubled the 32. On day 8, you'll have 128 pennies. So every day, whatever you had previously, you're going to double that amount of pennies. So on day 9, you're going to have 256 pennies, which is $2.56. See how it's accumulating and it's doubling. So on the 10th day, if you double that, you will have 512 pennies, which equals $5.12. So you say, well, at the end of 30 days, how much would I have? If you double your pennies every day from the previous day, at the end of 30 days, you will have 536,870,912 pennies, which is equivalent to $5 million, $5,368,709.12. Unbelievable. You don't believe that, do you? But it's true. It is true. Oh my gosh. And if you would like that sheet, I have it broken down by each day that you can accumulate and double. So that's something, the goal to reach to. In 30 days, you can have $5 million just from doubling your pennies every day. That is an amazing equation. So if you're interested in seeing the whole total breakdown, because perhaps you want to get into that flow of savings, you can, 30 days, you can be a millionaire. Isn't that powerful? Wow. So if you would like a copy of that sheet and you don't believe what I'm saying, or if you haven't been able to calculate it, just email me and I'd love to send that to you. That's a fun fact, and that's something to think about. That lets you know that a little bit can add up. Just a little bit, being consistent, it can add up. So email me at realmoneymatters@RachelRKennedy.com. I'd love to share that fun fact with you. That was a good little exam project, or just a fun game to tell you about your money, let you know that money matters, and let you know that a little bit can add up. Saying that, we are going to start talking about debt. Debt. What is debt? Well, most people know that it's money, or buying something in advance that you don't have the money for. Debt is really a commitment to purchase a product or a service, and you agree to pay it in the future. We've talked about on previous show Wimpley from Popeye show. If you remember him, he was the guy that loved hamburgers. And see, what happens is you get yourself in a situation where you love something so much that you're willing to get it now and pay for it later. So Mr. Wimpley, he said, I will gladly pay you Tuesday for a hamburger today. And how many of you know it wasn't Tuesday the day he got the burger? It probably was that Wednesday. So he wanted to wait a whole week to pay for the burger. And the thing about that is that he ate the burger that day on the spot. It was gone, and he still had to pay for it. That's called a consumable. That's a consumable. Oh my gosh. And so if you're in a situation, and most people that you get money for, they're going to charge you interest. It's going to cost you to borrow that money. So you're going to pay interest on something that doesn't even exist. Oh my gosh. So we want you to remember Wimpley. Let him be an example to you that you don't want to be in a situation you don't want to be in. I had this saying that I read one time, and for many times it comes back to my attention, and it says, if you can't be a good example, then you'll have to be a horrible warning. Oh my gosh. And Wimpley, that's a horrible warning. You don't want to be in that situation. So we bring you these tips and things to think about it. If you can't be a good example, then you're going to be a horrible warning to someone. And we don't want to find you there. We want you to be a good example. So we're going to discuss debt in its kind of in depth a little bit today. Like I said, it's an obligation. Normally, it comes in a principal and interest form. There are two types of debts. You have secured debt and you have unsecured debt. So I want to talk about secured debt first. Secured debt is debt that is secured by an asset or a collateral. The most common kind of secured debt are mortgages, because you have a house and you have a mortgage, or a vehicle, your car loans. Those are considered a secured debt because it's attached to a collateral. It's attached to something that's tangible, that if for some reason you default on the loan or you do not pay the loan, then they're able to repossess that to try to recap and gain some of the money that they loan you for that particular item. So secured debt, like I said, is usually a mortgage for a home, a loan for an auto, for a boat, a motorcycle, something that has a tangible present, an asset that you can secure with these loans. And usually those loans are not as risky as unsecured debt. Usually those loans will have lower interest rates because they have some kind of interest to where if the loan is not paid, they can recoup some of the money, because those items, they depreciate and they won't get the full value of what you paid for them. So if you paid, and especially even now, houses used to appreciate, but in the economy we live in now, they're depreciating. A lot of people are over the top with that, but we won't go into, that's a whole nother subject we won't go into. So that's the thing about secured loans. You have to be careful, because in the event that you lose your job or you don't have the income that you normally had, that you would pay for these particular types of loans, what happens is it's a severe consequence, and the severe consequence is repossession. Some people may have had that happen to them and experience it and know what it's like. So if you have a vehicle and you're not able to continue to pay for that vehicle, what happens is there's a default that goes out on the loan, and so they will come back and they will take that car. They really will. And so you have to be able to, if you're in a situation where you can't pay something, communicate with the people. Let them know, I'm having a situation, whatever the case is, try to work out some other terms. So when you have a secured debt, is usually secured by, like I said, asset. And those loans can sometimes the interest rate can be lower. Now on the other hand, we have what you call unsecured debt. Yes, that's wimply. That's an unsecured debt. That's something that if the money is, if you're not paying on that unsecured debt that you've accumulated, then there's no way to regroup or recoup any of that money. With the secured ones, at least if they have your vehicle back, they can resell it and get some of the money. So it won't be a total loss of the debt, but it'll be a partial loss. But with unsecured debt, there is no anything attached to it to allow them to be able to recoup. So usually those kind of debts, usually like credit cards. Credit card is a revolving debt, where you're set a limit. They give you a limit, and they make these credit cards so available. They send offers to you via email and snail mail. They just, any way they can get you these offers, and they make it look so good, and they make it so easy and convenient to get this type of debt, unsecured debt, because they count on you taking it up to the limit, and they count on you not paying it off every month. And that's where we get into trouble. Credit can be good if you use it in a good way, but you have to respect it. You have to respect credit. If you have a credit card that has a $5,000 limit, don't run it up to $5,000. When you're right at your limit, credit cards are good if you have an emergency situation that you haven't prepared and saved for. They're good to get you through emergency situations. They're good if you pay them off every month. That way you're not paying the interest on it. Now they have all these ways to get your attention, to get you a credit card. You can transfer debt from one credit card to the next credit card. You just find yourself in a credit card frenzy, because you can get one. They start you off at a low rate, and that's another way. They give you an introductory low rate, but then after so many days, that rate shoots up. And it's like, oh my goodness, the average rate is about 15%, the national rate, but you have credit cards that go as high as 24%. You can get some high interest rate. And what does that mean? That means they're going to charge you to use the credit. You have to pay a premium cost in order to use credit. And with the credit cards, by not paying them off and having high balances, they usually ask you to pay a minimum payment. And so that intrigues you as well, because you say, well, I can borrow $1,000 and I only have to pay $50 a month on that. Well, you're accumulating interest on that, so you're going to pay them back way more than you borrowed or that you charged. And a lot of times we talked about the unsecured things. Even though you purchase items like clothes or whatever the case, those are still considered unsecured debt, because they're not going to come take what you bought. If you bought clothes or if you bought food, they can't come take that kind of thing. So that's why they call it unsecured. And it usually takes a long time for you to do that. So that's the difference between secured and unsecured debt. You have student loans. You have that's another type of debt. Is a student loan. A lot of people go to college. Those student loans become like a pet. They're there for the rest of your life. They really become a pet, and they give you a good interest rate, but you pay on them forever. In the course of making payments on your loans, usually what happens is part of your payment, they'll have a set amount. That's the difference between a student loan or a personal loan, is that it'll be a certain payment every month. Unlike a credit card, it can fluctuate based on your balance, and that also impacts your budget every month. If you have a different balance, the more you accumulate, the higher your minimum payment's going to be. But my encouragement to you is that don't charge more than you're able to pay off in a month, if at all possible. Like I said, you can use it in emergency situations and things of that nature. But getting back to the student loans and the personal loans and things like that, what happens is part of that payment is a set amount. Part of it will go to the interest. So you're paying them to borrow the money, and then part of it will reduce the principal amount that you initially borrowed. So that's called an installment payment. That's like an installment payment. So those types of loans, they take longer to reduce. And car loans are like that as well. They usually have a set amount that you pay, and so is your mortgage. So your secured debt allows you to, they call it amortization. They amortize your loan. So part of your payment will go to interest, and part of it will reduce the principal amount. So those are a little few tips about debt and being secured and unsecured. Usually, like I said, the unsecured, their interest rates may be a little higher because they have no way of recouping the money if the payments aren't made. And then what happens with those as well, they get into if you're in a situation where you're not making those payments, they get very aggressive and get collection agencies involved. If you get too far behind, they will get collection agencies that will pursue you to make sure they get that money back. So they're higher risk loans. Unsecured loans are higher risk kind of debt and credit. So they'll take extreme measures to try to recoup the money if you fall behind in payments. So debt out of control, it can be a bondage if you don't handle it correctly. It can be such a weight on your mind if you continue to charge things or get debt and you're not able to pay it. What it does is, debt is a thief. Debt robs us of our time and money, because what happens is you're promising money for the future that you haven't even made yet. So money you haven't even made yet, you're promising it to pay off this debt. It causes you to worry and cause anxiety. It prevents you from being able to freely give if you want to be a giver and give away. Borrowing money, we make promises on obligations of our future time and resources. We mentioned before that our time is part of we give up our money. Our money is part of our time. We give up part of our life to earn money. And so when you put yourself in a situation of debt, you're giving up you're promising part of your future to money you haven't even made yet. And so, like I talked about Wimpley, we talked about him. Once you promise to pay your credit card and other debts and living expenses, you have made a commitment. And guess what? That money doesn't belong to you anymore. You've made a commitment to pay something that you haven't even made yet. Another important aspect of debt is that it makes a presumption on the future. It's assuming that you'll be able to even make that money. What if something happened and you can't work and you can't make that money? So you put a presumption on your future when you get yourself in a situation of debt and say, I'm going to pay it later. It also presumes that you'll be even alive to even pay it. Who even knows what happens? Who knows what the future has? You know what I'm saying? So debt is a serious problem in our country. It's not just, it's so flashed in front of people all the time, that it makes it look easy. And it's not easy. Debt can be a bondage if you're not using it correctly. So I just want to be aware. Some of you may already know from personal experience. I think we've all went through that situation where we've had debt. But the thing about it is that you don't have to stay in debt. That's what I love about it. You don't have to stay there. You may find yourself in a situation where you're in debt and it seems like you can't get out, but there is always a resolve. You have to start putting disciplines in your life that allow you, if you can't pay for it cash, then don't get it. I know that sounds simple, but then it would eliminate so many problems with debt and future income. Warning signs. There's some warning signs to say if you have a debt problem. If you're using credit card cash advances to pay for your living expense, then you have a problem. They have the cash advances you can get. If you have to get a cash advance on your credit card to pay for gas or food, then you have a debt problem. If you're depending on overtime, that, I'm going to work overtime to pay my monthly expenses, then you're in debt. That's a warning sign. If you're using your credit card to buy the consumable things we talked about, like gas and food and clothes and vacations and things of that nature, if you're using that money for that, then you have a debt problem. If you're saving, if you're using a credit card to pay another credit card, that's not a good sign. You got to borrow from this credit card to pay another credit card. That's not a good sign as well. Floating your bills, delaying one bill in order to pay another bill that's overdue, then you have a debt problem. These are some of the warning signs that you have a debt problem. Paying only the minimum amount, that's a problem. If you're not able to pay it off in its entirety every month, then that's a situation that's accumulating, especially if you find yourself paying a minimum payment and then you go out and make a charge for the same amount that you paid for your minimum payment. That is creating a situation where you will not be able to eliminate your debt. And that's what we want to get. We're bringing you an awareness of what debt is. And I know it sounds harsh and it doesn't sound fun, but we have to identify it. We have to realize where we are as far as debt, because we can't change what we don't acknowledge. We have to acknowledge that there needs to be a change. And so just bringing awareness of the debt, many of you probably don't even have to tell you. You already know that you don't like debt, you don't want to be in debt, and that you understand the consequences of your actions. So we just want to change our actions, and we want to start to move to a place of being debt-free. How wonderful it feels when you're debt-free, when you don't owe anything to anyone. And I think the Bible even says that, owe no man nothing, anything but to love. Isn't that a wonderful thing? That all I owe you is love. I give that away freely every day. So, so we have to commit, and we have to discipline ourselves to get out of debt. That's the bottom line. We have to commit and discipline ourselves. And some ways to break the power of debt in our life is to stop buying on credit. That sounds so simple. We have to stop buying on credit. Use cash. Cash is the best credit. You don't have to pay it back. Once you pay for something that's yours, then you don't have to worry about it. If you don't have the money, then we have to do without. We have to implement delayed gratification. A lot of times we say, I need this, I deserve this, I worked hard. But you deserve not to be in debt. You deserve not to promise your future earnings to debt that you've accumulated. So do not accumulate any more debt. Start a debt reduction plan. Identify how much debt you owe. What if someone said to you, if you tell me how much you owe in debt right now, I'll pay it off for you right now? Would you have that number? Would you know what that number was? Would you be able to say, I owe X amount of dollars and so many cents? I mean, to the penny. If someone, think about that. If somebody just walked up to you and said, I'm going to pay all your debts, give me that figure right now. You need to be able to do that. So my challenge for you this week, I want you to identify all of your debt. I know. It sounds like you don't want to see that number. But the encouraging thing about that number is you know what you have to work with and how much you have to earn in order to reduce that debt. So what I want you to do, I want you to start with your lowest bill or your lowest amount of debt or credit that you owe. List all your credit cards. Put everything in order from the lowest amount to the highest amount that you owe in debt. Because what we're going to do, we're going to begin to eliminate debt from the smallest to the greatest. We're going to start with the smallest, and you're going to feel so good. I promise you. Once you pay off that first little debt, and then you destroy that card, you could put it in the freezer and freeze it in a bottle of water or something where you don't have access to it. Find ways to help you to detour from being tempted to spend, or to, once you pay that debt off or pay that credit card off, we don't want you to re-spend on it again. We want you to put it up and put it on the shelf, hide it somewhere where you're not going to use it again. So start this week. Focus on focus on the smallest bill. Prioritize your debt from the smallest to the largest. That's where we're going to start. And we're going to begin what I call a debt snowball cancellation. We're going to help you to each week, we're going to go over tips as we reduce our budget and get our budget in line, and we get our spending to be lower and less than our income. We'll have that extra money that's going to help us to start eliminating our debt. So I have the spreadsheet, if you would like that, that's going to give you a format to show you how to do your debt snowballing. Email me at realmoneymatters@RachelRKennedy.com, and I'll get that spreadsheet out to you. And it's very good. It'll accumulate. It'll add up all of your total debts, so you don't have to add that up for yourself. It'll give you all that information. It's a good spreadsheet. It's a good tool to use to help you to identify your debt. So we're identifying it, and we're gonna look for getting extra income. We're going to find ways to eliminate that debt even quicker. We're going to set a goal, 30, 60, 90, a year. We want to set goals, and we're going to try to accumulate, identify the debt that we've accumulated and begin to eliminate it. And yes, you can eliminate it. Think about unexpected money. When you get unexpected money in, your income tax refund. Some people get a large income tax refund. Use that to reduce your debt. Start thinking of ways now that you want to get yourself in a debt-free situation. I know we talked a lot about it, but I'm asking you to please work on that assignment this week. Identify your debt from the smallest to the largest. And we want to get yourself in a situation where you are the lender and not the borrower. That's our goal. Our goal. The Bible says in Proverbs 22:7 that the rich ruleth over the poor, and the borrower is servant or slave to the lender. And that's what happens when you put yourself in a debt situation. You become a slave to that lender because you got to work to pay them off. So let's work toward getting ourselves out of debt. We want to work toward being the lender and not the borrower. And we must first identify the problem, which I believe we got a good handle on today. We're starting to identify the fact that there is some debt. And let me take this moment to say, if you do not have debt, then I applaud you. You've done great. You've worked hard, because that's not an easy thing to do, to be totally debt free. But if you're in that situation, I applaud you today, and I say continue on. Feel free to call, to write in and email me some of your points and tips that you have done to help you to eliminate debt in your life. I'm sure my viewers would love to hear from you as well on ways to eliminate debt and to find ourselves in a debt-free situation. So if you would like copies, like I said, of any of the things we've talked about today, of the doubling the pennies exercise that talked about how much money you can accumulate in 30 days by doubling pennies. If you like the spreadsheet on the debt snowball elimination, send me an email this week, Real Money Matters, at RachelRKennedy.com. I love to hear your comments. I love to hear your questions, and I'd love to get you these tools out that's going to help you. So remember, until next week, that your money matters. It matters what you make. It matters what you spend. It matters what you save. It matters how you manage the money you've worked hard for and that has been trusted to you. Until next week, God bless you. Thank you so much for watching. And until next week, make good choices. Thanks again for watching.
Foreclosures, hatred, and natural disasters. It is important not to get discouraged. A sense of balance must be obtained and maintained. Hope must be achieved.
Dr. Fuller Tway provides knowledge and strategies based on biblical principles of achieving sanctity through hope from a global perspective, for providing post-traumatic stress, trauma, and crisis counseling people following the earthquake in Haiti, counseling women involved in the human trafficking in Spain, leadership development in countries in Africa to offer support to those affected by the floodings of the East Coast. For strategies, knowledge, and wisdom, log on Sundays at 7 p.m. Eastern Standard Time to ItsWebTV.com for Offering Hope.
Do you find that you have more months than money? Do you know if you don't tell your money where to go, it will leave without your permission? Rachel Kennedy here, and I'm excited to invite you to join me Fridays at 10 a.m. for Real Money Matters. I want to help you give direction to your money by developing a budget. Yes, the B word, a budget that works for you. Let's talk Real Money Matters. With unemployment high, good jobs hard to find, the bills keep coming, what do? How do you manage? How do you manage what you currently have? And how do you find a way to save and bring increase into your life? Tune in live every Friday at 10 a.m. Log on to ItsWebTV and see me there. I look forward to seeing you there. Check me out on ItsWebTV.com.